Welcome to this explainer. Today we're going on a high-stakes journey tracing the dramatic and frankly fascinating evolution of presidential transit. You know, if you've ever watched a presidential motorcade roll through a city, you've probably noticed that it's much more than just a VIP getting from point A to point B. It's a highly engineered, deeply complex rolling fortress. But the crazy thing is, it wasn't always this way. Today, we're going to look at the exact historical catalyst that changed everything, and we'll dig right into the incredible engineering that keeps the commander-in-chief safe today. To really wrap our heads around modern presidential transport, I want you to picture the Secret Service's absolute worst nightmare playing out in real time. Picture this. The motorcade is rolling down a blocked-off city street. But what happens if a bomb is hidden beneath a manhole cover right on the president's route, and it went completely undetected? It's a terrifying thought, right? In just seconds, the most important vehicle in the country is going to pass directly over that exact spot, and someone is just waiting to remotely trigger the explosion. But it gets worse. In the world of high-level security, they have to plan for way more than just one threat at a time. While the manhole bomb is obviously a major concern, the Secret Service must also plan for Scenario 2, a sniper positioned in a dimly lit room overlooking the intersection. And then there's Scenario 3, a van parked close to the blocked-off streets where a guy is literally preparing a rocket launcher aimed right at the motorcade. Now, fortunately, these three terrifying scenarios we're discussing right now are purely fictional, but we're establishing them here to perfectly illustrate the immense modern dangers the motorcade is specifically designed to face and neutralize on a daily basis. So let's move to the timeline and see how this actually builds across history. We start with the original 1961 Lincoln Continental, then we move to the immediate armored rebuild in 1963, and finally arrive at the current 2018 vehicle affectionately known as the Beast. What you really need to take away from this timeline is that this evolution wasn't just a matter of, upgrading to newer car models for style. This entire engineering trajectory was anchored by a single, tragic, historical catalyst that completely redefined what a presidential vehicle needed to be. Section 1. The 1963 catalyst, visibility over security. Okay, let's dive into this. To understand the rolling fortresses of today, we absolutely must look back at the assassination of John F. Kennedy. The way the president traveled prior to that tragic day in Dallas was based on an entirely different philosophy than the one we see today. Kennedy's car was a specially modified 1961 Lincoln Continental, and the modifications were rarely about security. Yes, it had lights, sirens, fire extinguishers, and radio telephones for communication, but look at the physical changes to the car itself. It featured a completely removable roof, the rear cushion where the president sat was actually raised up, and the car was extended to include a middle row of jump seats that could just fold away when not in use. These design choices were incredibly intentional. They prioritized making the president highly visible to the public, really projecting an image of openness and connection. But there's a quote that perfectly and somberly captures this. It says, "Both these modifications were designed to make the president more visible to the public. Unfortunately, it also made him more vulnerable." It's a really tough realization. The raised seat and the removable roof, these totally optimistic design choices meant to project hope, tragically facilitated the success of the sniper in Dallas in 1963. The very features designed to bring the president closer to the people left him entirely exposed to danger. Section 2. Shifting to a tank. So, the crucial point is really captured when you look at the stark contrast before and after 1963. Following those tragic events, the approach to presidential transport changed literally overnight. The Secret Service and the engineers realized they could no longer prioritize visibility over pure safety. The car required an immediate massive rebuild. We go from the 1961 design, a light, open convertible meant to project hope, to the post-1963 rebuild. They installed a top of bulletproof glass and protected the body of the car with thick titanium armor. It was now meant for pure survival. It's incredibly symbolic when you think about it. The light convertible appearance, which was so representative of a hopeful time, was literally built up into a defensive tank set to protect his more divisive successor. The entire philosophy flipped from let them see the president to protect the president at all costs. Section 3. Inside today's Beast. Fast forward through decades of continuous upgrades, and we arrive at the present day. If the 1963 rebuild was a tank, the vehicle that protects the president right now is practically a spaceship on wheels. Let's peel back the layers of the 2018 completely custom-built General Motors vehicle that currently serves as the presidential limousine. 15,000 pounds. That is just a staggering number. While the Beast is visually reminiscent of a standard luxury sedan, it is anything but. Because of the massive amount of heavy armor required to protect the occupants, this car actually had to be built on a heavy truck platform. A standard car chassis simply would be crushed under the weight of its own defenses. Now, what's really interesting here is how these sci-fi level specs directly answer the threats we discussed at the very beginning of this explainer. Those 8-inch thick doors, they ensure a window sniper has absolutely zero chance of success. The vehicle is also hermetically sealed against any form of chemical attack. If an attacker tries to yank open the door, the handles can actually be electrified with the switch of a button to prohibit entry. The tires are run flat, meaning the car can keep driving even if they are completely shot out. And, perhaps most incredibly, there is always an onboard storage of blood matching the president's exact blood type, ready for an extreme medical emergency. It is a luxury tank designed to withstand essentially any possible threat. But wait, what about that third fictional scenario we mentioned, the van with the rocket launcher? Well, the Beast has an answer for that too. The presidential limousine is actually equipped with smoke grenades. As soon as they're triggered, the car completely disappears in a thick cloud of smoke. But this isn't just regular smoke, it's an infrared smoke screen specifically composed to conceal the heat signature of objects. This means it actively blinds incoming tracking technology, ensuring that even complex guided missiles would completely fail to track the target, allowing the Beast to safely flee the scene. Section 4. A White House on Wheels. And this brilliantly illustrates the biggest secret of presidential travel. The Beast is never, ever alone. Protecting the president relies on a massive, highly coordinated shield of vehicles moving in perfect unison. Remember our first scenario, the manhole bomb? Well, the remote trigger just wouldn't work because of the electronic countermeasure Suburban. The antennas on its roof emit radio frequencies so strong, they literally drown out any bomb activation signal, a technique called barrage jamming. Then you have the Roadrunner, which you can spot by its roof antenna, providing a direct, encrypted satellite link to the Pentagon so the president is fully operational on the road. There's a hazardous materials mitigation unit equipped for biological, chemical, and nuclear responses, and Halfback, which carries the president's personal secret service agents who stay by his side no matter what. It's an entire ecosystem. Briefly rounding out the rest of the puzzle, we have the supporting cast. There are always 2 identical limousines on the road. Why? To play a high-stakes shell game. It makes it incredibly difficult for a shooter to know which car the president is actually riding in. Then you have a heavily armed counter-assault team ready to jump out and create a secure buffer by fighting off attackers. There are control and support cars for essential staff and the president's doctor. An ID car relays information across the network. Sweepers on motorcycles clear the route ahead, while local police serve as rear guards to ensure no civilian vehicles enter the motorcade from behind. A local ambulance even trails the entire procession just in case. Every single vehicle fulfills a critical task to create this White House on wheels. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative thought. We've seen how the tragic events of 1963 forced a complete redesign of presidential transit, transforming a vulnerable convertible into a 15,000-pound rolling fortress backed by an army of specialized vehicles. It is a highly fought-for system, but I want to ask you this. Is this incredible motorcade driven purely by justified security concerns, or is it also an ultimate projection of power? When that massive, coordinated fleet rolls through a city street, it certainly sends a message that goes far beyond just keeping one person safe. It's something pretty fascinating to ponder the next time you see the motorcade on the move. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this today. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.